Hello and welcome to another edition of Fleetcast, and I am as usual joined by my lovely co-host Ben when we discuss Doctor Who episodes. How are you doing, Ben?
I am not too bad.
Not too bad.
How about you?
I am actually having a really good day. I feel like this is probably the first day of spring for us. Like the first proper day, because I'm in a dress. I am literally wearing a dress, and I've been out and about this morning, and it's really nice out there. It feels very much like spring has finally come to the UK, which is always a nice feeling when you have to be somewhere early this morning.
Yeah, I actually am sat here with my fan on. I did have my window open, but I live on a street where everyone walks their dogs, so you would have people basically calling their dogs every 5 minutes.
Carson! Carson!
Yeah,
If you know, you know. But yes, so we have realised that this is actually the last episode of us reviewing old episodes for a while, because the new series starts this week in the UK after Eurovision, and we are both a little bit salty about this, aren't we? We are not fans of the fact that Disney and the BBC have kind of done this to us, because this program is it's a British program, and
Hmm.
I don't mean to offend. So this is me not trying to offend anywhere else across the world, but I feel like we have kind of got the short end of the stick, because we are used to very much watching it on a Saturday or Sunday evening,
Hmm.
and that's not happening this time.
Yeah. Funnily enough, because I read a lot of comments about this online, and several of them, and a lot of these were actually from people in the States. That's what I
Hmm.
found really, really funny.
Yeah.
But you had a lot of people in the States getting salty about it and going, well, why don't you just do the same thing you did with the anniversary ones where you just simulcast them?
I don't understand why they're not simulcasting.
Uh, I I think this is the slow march towards Disney completing their taking it over completely.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be too mad about it if it wasn't a British program and then it's
Yeah.
being changed for a different market, because we don't get that. We don't get programs being
Yeah.
changed for the European market, and
Well, I mean, prime example, imagine if they, 'cause at the moment they're obviously doing Star Trek Discovery's final season.
yeah.
Imagine if we were getting all of that before the US was.
Yeah, it just
It's the same.
it literally makes no sense. And
Uh,
this is
don't get me wrong,
this is
that
us.
did happen.
It
Sorry.
did happen. This is us with a little bit of disclaimer. We are very passionate about Doctor Who. We are not trying to offend anyone. And we probably will. And you can comment. You can put it below. We don't mind. We will answer every comment. We will answer every accusation towards us, and the fact that we are being ever so slightly annoyed at Disney. So Disney, please don't come after us.
Yeah,
Because neither of us have got money between us. We are skin. You're gonna get nothing.
understatement.
You are gonna get nothing from us other than people getting laughing at you. But yeah, I'm really quite salty about this. I don't think it's fair. You were saying that the only time it's happened was Disney. Was
No, no,
Discovery.
no. So the main time I can think of, historically, it wasn't actually Discovery; it was Picard. But the one of the episodes of Picard season three actually dropped a day early in the UK,
But I think that was
which
by
I
accident, wasn't it?
yeah, exactly. That was a one-off. In
Yeah,
fact, every week after that, I was checking it just in
yeah,
case they'd
yeah.
messed up the programming.
And I think it's quite awful, because obviously with Star Trek, we didn't actually get notification that Europe and the rest of the world were not going to get Star Trek Discovery season 3, because it wasn't going to be on Netflix. There was literally no notification that was happening, was there?
I thought,
I think we got like 48 hours notice. Um,
yeah,
we didn't get any like thing, and then obviously everyone was kicking off at Paramount, and we got it on we got it on Freevee, wasn't it? Freevee that we got it on.
yeah, and then because funnily enough, it was they announced that. So they obviously, as you say, about 48 hours before it was due to drop, they said, "Oh yeah, it's not going on Netflix." Then I think because as you say, it went on some site or another.
I think it was Freebie. I think that was like that was their version of it over here. It was like
Yeah,
their
but
only way that they had. Wasn't it like their only channel that they could legally put it on or something? It was something
I'm
bizarre, wasn't it?
Yeah, I just remember that about 2 weeks after they said, "Oh yeah, it's not going on Netflix in the UK," they then announced that Paramount Plus was due to launch in the UK
Yeah.
next month, and it was just like, "Oh, this is convenient timing."
Well, I think they sped that up because it wasn't. We were not meant to get it to like way after that.
Weren't we meant to get it like this year?
Which, to be fair, I don't really feel like it's worth the money at the moment anyway. So it's.
I Yeah, I literally have it because it's included with the Sky TV package.
I need to get a Sky Kit TV because Dulac keeps saying the same that he's got it because of that. I think.
Yeah, because it's on the Sky Cinema package.
Yeah.
Right, if you get the Sky box sets package, you get Netflix, which my mum got, and it's like great Netflix. Which at the moment is just being used to rewatch Suits.
See, I really like Netflix. I think Netflix and Amazon for me, oh, and Disney Plus are very much value for money because I've got a 7-year-old who
Yeah,
probably watches more of Netflix than any other human in existence because she's got an obsession with trolls at the moment and that's the only place that it is. So it's worth it for me.
my little brother and sister absolutely hate Netflix, and the reason why they hate Netflix is because my dad refuses to get proper internet and get Netflix. So they're just like everything good goes on there, and it's like
Yeah,
talk to dad.
it's difficult, but yes. So that's us getting our annoyance out of the way and letting you guys all know that obviously we are not going to have a timey wimey wheel at the end of this because the next episode that we are going to review, which will be the first episode of season six.
Season 1/15/40
Okay, we are going to
something.
keep it so that everyone is aware. We are going to simply put it as season 15 because it is a continuation. I know that people have got these theories, there are mad theories going around that it's a different universe, it's a different this, it's a different that. It's season 15 for me. I will die on that hill.
Mm.
It will be the hill that I am prepared to die on, but yes. So this episode of Doctor Who is season, which season are we? We are season 8 or series 8. And it's called Listen. And this episode was broadcast on the BBC on the 13th of September 2014, which makes me feel ever so slightly old that it was 10 years ago. It's written by Stephen Moffat, so you know already that it's going to be one hell of an episode. And do you know something? This episode was actually watched at the time by 7.1 million viewers.
That is very impressive viewing numbers when you consider a lot of the recent years.
And it was nominated for a Hugo Award for the Best Dramatic Presentation.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yes.
Like,
So yes, going into this episode, I wasn't sure whether I was going to rewatch it or whether I was just going to go from memory, but I decided in the end to rewatch it, and I am so glad that I did. I had forgotten in the 10 years because I'm going to make us both feel old continuously through this episode. So full disclosure, that is going to happen. I had forgotten how much I'd enjoyed this episode and how much it gave me a better understanding of the Doctor. I had
mm,
truly forgotten. Obviously, going through this episode, there was something not quite right, and it wasn't until like the last 10 minutes that you got that understanding of where it had all come from. And this episode, I can't remember if this episode is before the episode where we meet Davros as a child, or whether it's after.
it's
You're,
before. That's
it's
the start of the
before.
following series.
Right, okay. I couldn't quite remember, but it kind of gave me, yeah, it kind of gave me a little bit more of an understanding of that episode, and some of the previous like headcanon that I've had for the Doctor is kind of solidified. But
Yeah.
yes, what did you
Uh,
think
uh,
going into this episode?
so, first of all, I think this is possibly the best early Capaldi episode.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love Capaldi's run. I really like him as the Doctor
Yeah.
because he is very, very much classic Doctor style,
Yes,
like classic
he
Who.
really is, and you can tell he loved every single moment of
Yeah,
being the Doctor because he is probably the biggest Doctor Who fan to play a Doctor.
yeah.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
I can.
Although I don't know, David Tennant who was a fan of Doctor Who and then proceeded to not only play the Doctor, but also have a previous Doctor as his father-in-law may take the cake.
I don't know. I don't know. Peter Capaldi was like, wasn't he like president of the Doctor Who fan club or
He
something?
was,
Yeah.
because when
So
he was announced as the Doctor, there was a they actually shared a letter from one of the Doctor
yeah,
Who fan
yeah,
magazines that he'd wrote,
yeah.
and he's
So
just sat there looking mortified.
oh bless him. But he this was such a good episode. Yes,
Yeah,
I really enjoyed this episode.
yeah. One thing I love is this episode has we get to see the Doctor play the mad scientist. Like the
Yes.
whole way through, he's basically, for lack of a better analogy, he's doing Doc Brown in Back to the Future.
Yeah, that was pretty much the vibe I was getting throughout this episode. But I also like the fact that this episode showed Clara in quite a good light.
Which they didn't do very often.
Which, yeah, it kind of, she felt like she was actually a companion, and she felt like she could actually we could actually compare her fairly against, Martha, Rose, Donna, Amy. I felt that she was actually able to hold her own in this episode, where in other episodes the writing around her is quite poor, and she hasn't been able to do that.
The problem is she was very much written around, and I'm slightly scared we're going to get this with the new companion. She was written around the special girl trope.
Yes.
And then as soon as they finished that particular arc, they had nothing else to do with her.
Yeah, because I always forget that, her special girl arc ended with the 50th episode, and yeah, it ended with the 50th episode, and well, the episode before that, didn't it? It was
it ended with the episode before the 50th.
Yeah, and I can 100%, it did end with that, and they did struggle with trying to find what to do with her, and I think that's probably why she got such a poor exit.
Yeah, as I say, this is something I am ever so slightly worried about with the new companion, because she also appears to be written around that same trope from what we see and what we know of her.
Yeah.
And then we know that she's in for at least 1.5 series. There's been a lot of conjecture that she's going halfway through the following series, but they're now saying, oh no, she's not going halfway through the next one. She's still there.
Yeah, so that it. I don't
but
know.
Then the titling of the new series does very much suggest that she is going to have the special girl arc resolved by the end of the first one.
Yes, but I think we can probably discuss that at the end of this episode, and we can discuss what we hope for the next episode, the next series. But yes, so this episode starts with Clara on a dinner date with Danny, who we haven't met before now, have we? We haven't met Danny.
No, we did. We met him very briefly in the classroom.
Yes, but it's been a while since I've seen that one. Yes, we did meet him, and they're on a date, and they are discussing his army career, and they kind of get into a bit of an argument, and it was a bit like, I was a bit like, hang on, this doesn't, it didn't feel right.
The irony is, so first of all, I'm going to go into mild spoilers here. The date segments are interspersed through the episode.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because first of all, it let you see Clara doing something normal.
Yeah, which we don't often see. And I think the only other time that we've seen it recently is the classroom episode. And the 50th, 50th, right at the beginning when she's teaching a class.
50th right at the beginning, and also Time of the Doctor very briefly when she's doing Christmas dinner and completely wrecking it.
Yes.
Which I really wish they'd done more of that.
Yeah.
And also I wish they brought her family back more, because
I want to meet the Nana.
They were so funny.
The Nana. Oh my god, the Nana is absolutely brilliant. And
yes, the pervy Nana.
Yeah, the pervy Nana. But yes, who is she played by? Who is the Nana played by? I'm gonna have to go look now, because it is such a good episode, and the actress is she's in Benidorm, isn't she?
Okay.
I
don't know. I don't watch Benidorm.
I don't, but I think I'm like 90% sure that she is in Benidorm. I'm gonna have to have a quick look.
See, I recognise the face, but I've also had that of actors before. It's just like they've just got one of those faces.
Yes. Let's have a look. uh, yes, she's in Benidorm. And yeah, she's in Benidorm. Oh, yeah, she was. Yeah, she was in. Yeah, she's. She is Scottish.
Mm.
Yeah, no. So she's Sheila Reid. So she is a good actress. And I very much enjoyed the Nana in that episode. But yes, so
Yes, where the Doctor made the mistake of wearing hologram clothes and only projecting them onto Clara's cerebral cortex.
do you know what? At Christmas time, we need to do a Christmas episode around the Christmas episodes because I think some of them are just absolutely hilarious. But yes, this episode,
yeah, there's only like two I don't like.
with Danny, we obviously meet Danny Pink, and he's had a career in the army. He's come out. He's now a teacher, and he is going on a date with Clara.
I really like Danny as a character.
Yeah.
And I remember being really annoyed that they didn't do more with him.
Yes, I think we should have that annoyance at the end because I've got a couple of questions around his whole thing, which this episode brings up in my head quite a lot. Yes,
okay, I've got a hunch. I know what it's
yes, you know. So yes, this episode, obviously they have a date, they have an argument. She goes home, and the Doctor is waiting for her, and he's like, "Do you want to go on an adventure?" And she's like, "Okay." And he basically asks her, he wants her help to explore the idea of an entity with the perfect ability to hide and how it may be tied to a childhood feel everyone has of a hand grabbing them under the bed, which is terrifying because I can remember we all have that fear as a child of having a monster under the bed. And even now I'm like, oh, I don't want to get out of bed, something might grab me. And I'm 36, so I don't necessarily think it's just a childhood fear, but
I get that if I've just been, so the most recent time I've had that was I was literally so I was playing right. I went out, I got very, very drunk. I came back. I was like, I'm not tired. Let's play some Xbox. I started playing Resident Evil 2
well, what did you expect?
in the pitch black at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yes, what
while
did you
I am
expect?
drunk.
What did you expect?
And then literally I was like, I really need to go to the bathroom. But I don't want to get out of bed because I'd literally just had the bit where sort of you get the police officer trying to get through the shutter, and then the zombie just grabs him and pulls him back through. I'm like, I really want to.
But it's one of those basic human experiences of fear, and we all have it. You know, people say that they don't, but it is such a fear that people have. And the Doctor, for some reason, wants to explore it, and they use Clara. Clara uses the TARDIS's telepathic circuits to take her to her childhood. But we find out that her thoughts have wandered, and they land the TARDIS in a basically outside a children's home in Gloucester, where they meet a little boy called Rupert, and I've actually got pictures for this episode. We've actually got pictures to show us of things that are happening, which I'd completely forgotten until now. Let's have a look. Have I got the picture? Oh, I might not have a picture of this, but yes. So we meet Rupert, and Rupert's like, oh, I'm not scared. And he's very much like, but he kind of lets on that he's frightened by something under the bed. And the Doctor suggests he uses that fear to sort of empower him.
Yeah.
But
scared is a superpower,
yes. But then we kind of get Clara realizes that this little boy has soldiers, and they kind of have an exchange over the soldiers.
Dan the Soldier Man.
Which then we kind of realize that actually this little boy might be Danny. Yes.
See, I didn't actually get that first time I watched the episode.
No.
I was like, what the? Or correction, I got it when you first see the little boy.
Yeah.
Then he says his name's Rupert. I'm like, oh, it's got to be his brother or something.
Yes, yes. Um, and then they all kind of go to look out the window, and then you get the really creepy scene of,
Balloon under the bed sheet.
yes, and he's like, oh, it's just another kid, it's just another kid, it's just hiding under there, it's just hiding under there. No, we get like but it's done so well. It kind of gives you shivers, and it's very much like Stephen Moffat's usual style.
Yeah.
It's very creepy. It's very this.
It very much reminded me, purely because it's a sort of, I don't want to call it a monster because it literally only appears in this one
Yeah.
scene,
Yeah.
and you never get an explanation of it.
No, you don't.
That's one bit that does annoy me about this episode. Like, literally, the only thing about this episode that annoys me is there's no actual explanation for the monster.
Yes, yes. And we kind of get the scene as they all look at it and they're like, oh. And then the doctor does this wonderful thing, but which I think kind of harks back to the previous episode that we've watched, where he makes them all put the finger on the lips. Well, he makes them all turn around and ignore this monster. And it's just, I found it quite funny that when I was like watching it, I was like, that's a callback to the episode, and
Yep.
And and then Rupert is he's comforted by this, and he goes back to sleep with the little tin soldier that he's got. And yeah, it's a quick scene. It's a quick 5 minutes, 10. It's not even, I wouldn't even say it's 10 minutes. It's 5 minutes, 5 minute little blip, and then they are.
Well, before we move on, can we just acknowledge one great bit of comedy here?
Okay.
So it's when they first arrive, and the doctor says to Clara, well, this is when you were at the orphanage. And Clara's like, I was never at an orphanage. It's like, you literally met her family at Christmas.
Yeah, but I think that's just the doctor forgetting, because he's very much like that. He doesn't remember things that are important to other people.
Yeah, or as Christopher Eccleston's doctor put it, he doesn't do domestic.
Yes, very much doesn't do domestic.
But it's just funny.
Yes, it is. And there are quite a lot of funny scenes that are interjected in between serious points. And obviously, I really like this little boy who plays Rupert. It's really sweet. And then obviously the Clara uses the doctor ever so slightly to kind of reset her date. So she uses the TARDIS for a little bit of personal advantage, I feel. Ever so slightly. And she kind of goes back into the date as if she'd never left. They'd had the little bit of argument, but she comes back to apologise, doesn't she? And
yeah, see, again, I just genuinely enjoy these segments because every time she goes back, she initially seems to be getting things back on track, and then she puts another foot wrong.
Yes, and it's very much this,
The funny thing is, a lot of people could also relate to that on a first date, where
so much,
you'll. I mean, to be fair, my favourite one wasn't even my first date. It was one that one of my old colleagues had, but she literally said that her date got so drunk and ended up literally falling asleep in the cab home.
Oh, bless him.
But it seemed to go very, very well. She ended up marrying him, so
but yes,
she wasn't that deterred.
So we obviously goes back, but this time Danny, you can see on his face as she mentions Dan the soldier. He's like, how does she know that? Why does she know that? And then obviously I can't remember if it's this part of the date or the next part of the date where she starts mentioning Rupert, but he gets annoyed, and obviously in this part at least I know he leaves. And then you get this part where I don't know how it works or anything, but obviously the TARDIS appears sort of in the back room, like in the, as you can see, like the kitchen, and Clara is like beckoned by a space suited figure. Um, which I kind of was like, okay, I don't understand what's going on here. I obviously with me watching it back again, I was like, I don't know how this figures out, how this is possible. But we then get to meet Orson,
Mm.
who ironically looks just like Danny.
Yeah, except for with slightly better hair.
Yes. We kind of meet Orson, and it's I'm still a bit confused over this. Like, I don't even think on like the second watch, or I don't know how many times I've watched this episode because it is such a good episode. We kind of meet Orson, who is going on a little bit of a journey, should we say? He wasn't he
Yes.
he's obviously, he looks just
He's a
like Danny.
Yes, and he's supposed to be one of the first human time travelers.
Yes.
Which let's add an addendum to that without blue box interference.
Yes, he is bon voyage, awesome pink. He's had this big celebration of him leaving, but then his ship has
It was meant
crashed.
to go. It was meant to go to next week, and instead went to the end of the universe.
Yes, and he is, he's one of humanity's first ever time travel pilots, but he's been stranded at the end of the universe. Um, and then, but we've got kind of find out for a little bit of scenes back and forth that Awesome Pink has Dan the Soldier Man, and it's a toy
Mm,
as a heirloom. It's like a heirloom of
family
a,
heirloom, yeah.
yeah, and it's like, you're like, oh,
Uh,
oh,
but the bit that gets me is where he makes the remark about time travel running in the family.
yes, and you're like, oh, okay, and then obviously later on in the episode, he actually gives the toy soldier to Clara,
Clara.
and you're like, and she's like, oh, but it's a family heirloom, and he's like, yeah, yeah, but your family, and you're like,
Oh god.
yes. But back on the ship at the end of the universe, it's this part I kind of found really intriguing because you never see the being that's supposedly out there in the end of the universe.
Very much reminded me of Midnight.
Yes, and to be fair, I think on my first ever watch, I just assumed it was the creature from Midnight. Um, but
There's
Danny,
technically room for that in continuity.
yeah,
Like,
Orson is very much. You can tell he is scared of whatever this creature is. He is scared, and he wants to get the hell out of here. Um, and then obviously the Doctor decides to be the Doctor. He attempts to return to the ship to observe whatever the entity or monster, while Orson and Clara wait in the TARDIS.
because he gives Orson a line about how the TARDIS needs 12 hours to recharge.
Yes, which is absolute crap. But the Doctor,
The funny thing is,
rule number one, the Doctor lies.
yeah, but what gets me is he says, "Oh yeah, it needs to recharge between trips," but that implies that him and Orson were waiting in the back of that restaurant for 12 hours.
Yes, which doesn't really make sense. I think it's just the Doctor lies.
No, my personal headcanon is legitimately they did. The Doctor just kept him waiting there and claimed he was running a battery of tests or something.
Yeah, but the Doctor lies. It's
Yeah.
it's rule number one of the Doctor. But yes, so we kind of get the really intense scene of the sill of the ship of Orson's time ship rupturing and the Doctor falling
Hmm.
unconscious. Obviously, Orson rescues him, um, and Clara uses the telepathic circuitry to get them home, but
Hmm.
she doesn't take them home. She takes them to a
Well,
barn.
and actually, no, she does take one of them home.
Yes, yes, she does take one of them home, but the TARDIS lands in a barn, and
Hmm.
this is my favourite scene of this whole episode because of how it links in to the 50th. It took me a few minutes to work out where we were and what was going on. Um But obviously, the TARDIS ends up in a barn, and there is a boy asleep inside the barn. And Clara goes to investigate, but she hides under the bed when two adults enter. So this, at this point, this could be anywhere in the universe. This could be, you know, Earth. It could be anything. But you hear these two adults, and they are discussing that the boy will never make it to be a Time Lord. And you get the realization on Clara's face as she's hiding under this bed that she knows this little boy will grow up to be the Doctor.
The Doctor.
And I can just remember watching this episode and I was like, oh my God. Because the moment you realise, you're like, oh my God, you can actually see.
It's literally a stealth multi-Doctor.
Yes.
And breathe.
Apologies. I just got too excited that my voice went. Like, as you do when you're doing this, you do get quite passionate and quite excited over things, especially these little moments when I'm just like, it just makes me happy that we have these little link bags, because I love the 50th episode so damn much.
Honestly, I think the 50th was a much better anniversary episode than the 60th. I enjoyed the 60th as Doctor Who. I didn't enjoy it as an anniversary.
Yeah, no, very, very, very much. I think the same, but we get this amazing scene that basically reveals that the Doctor has the same fears as because Clara grabs
his leg,
his foot. Yeah, she grabs like his ankle, and
when he goes to get up. Yeah.
Yes, and she's like, "It's a dream. It's a dream. Just go back to bed." And I think it's such a beautiful little scene that we kind of get, even though it is absolutely terrifying and reveals where the Doctor's fear comes from. We get the really beautiful scene, and I'm just gonna try and see if I can find the quote from Doctor Who, this part of the episode, because I think it's just it's beautiful, and it does link back to the 50th so well.
I like that basically what Clara turns around and says to the Doctor as a child, it's the exact same thing he was saying to Danny as a child in the orphanage.
Yeah, and obviously, you know, she starts with, so it goes, so listen, if you listen to nothing else, listen to this. You're always going to be afraid, even if you learn to hide it. Fear is like a companion, a constant companion, always there, but that's okay, because fear can bring us together. Fear can bring you home. I'm going to leave you something just so you'll always remember. Fear makes companions of us all. And it's just, it's so beautiful and so sort of like empowering. And yeah, and I just really, really like it. You know, yes, scared can be a superpower, but it also can, you know, it can also empower, and it kind of links back to the fact that this moment in this variant of the Doctor inspired him, and we now understand why he chose the barn in the 50th episode, why he came back to the barn. And well,
he goes back there again later in Capaldi's run as well.
Does he?
Yes, in Hellbent.
Oh yes.
That's literally where he basically tells Rassilon and the entire Time Lord High Council, get off my planet.
Yes, you are 100% right there. Yes, but it's just so lovely. You know, I'm gonna put something on the screen that I found that's from Pinterest, and it says, it's the whole thing, but it says that, you know, one day you're going to come back to this barn and you're going to be afraid, but that's okay, because you're very wise and very strong. Fear doesn't have to make you cruel or cowardly. Fear can make you kind. And I just love that, to be fair. I really do love the fact that it's made out to be something that we didn't expect. Like, I didn't expect that when we started this episode.
Yeah. Uh, so I definitely didn't expect them to end up on Gallifrey when you have the Doctor as a child.
Yes.
That was very, very far left field in a good way.
Yeah.
It's not a, but it is not a, oh, that was really bad. I did half expect them to tie back to something in some way or another, just because it was like, where's this coming from all of a sudden?
Mm.
So the only bit that I did get was they'd have to end up being some kind of closed time loop by the end of it.
Yeah. And then obviously
Good.
but I find it quite funny because the Doctor then wakes up and he's like, "Where are we? Where are we?" And
She tells him not to look.
Yeah, Clara's the one that tells him not to look. And then she kind of makes him promise not to learn where they are. And then obviously the Doctor drops Orson and Clara off in their respective times, and then obviously Clara and Danny then apologize for their behavior before sharing a kiss. And then we kind of go back to the beginning where the Doctor was scribbling on a blackboard, and he seems to be quite happy with his ramblings and what conclusions he's come to.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
And then that's how the episode ends. And I'm ever so slightly dissatisfied with this episode because we don't find out, one, who the monster is.
Mm.
And then obviously this episode, as it goes on, we know that Danny dies.
Yes.
So
however,
how does Orson exist?
I actually have a theory on this.
Okay, let's see Ben's theory of the week.
So, first of all, there's the whole explanation given in Blink for time as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
The wibbly wobbly timey wimey stuff.
Yeah.
But also, the thing to bear in mind is the only reason why Danny actually basically does get killed is due to direct interference from both the Doctor and the Master, both of whom time travel. So there is theoretical space for them to basically for the Master's machinations throughout the season.
Right.
And also what the Doctor is doing when he's time traveling to inadvertently twist history. Because Clara even touches on, but we met Orson Pink.
Yeah.
And then the Doctor says to her, but time's in flux, it can be rewritten.
Yeah, it just makes me sad because obviously we get Clara. Clara kind of meets her future, and she meets like the future, and she has this moment of revelation that obviously she's got a future, and that she's got a future with Danny, and then I'm not sure, is it next episode or the episode after? It's literally ripped from her, and it's awful. And
no, it's about 5 or 6 episodes time.
Really?
No, tell that's episode 12, so this is episode 4. So there's like 8 episodes in between.
Oh gosh, I didn't realise that we were this kind of like far ahead. I thought we had a little bit. Oh yeah,
No.
because this is only episode 4,
Episode
and then
4.
obviously we've got the time heist, we've got Kill the Moon, we've got the Mummy on the Orient Express, and then we've got Flatline, isn't it? Is that the one?
No, Flatline is the one with the drawing monsters on the wall.
Okay.
But the one where the Doctor's trapped in the TARDIS for most of it, and then he's running out of air, and the TARDIS goes into siege mode, so you get to see the TARDIS is literally just a box.
Yes,
And
I
then
remember.
and then Clara tricks the monsters into recharging the TARDIS right before the Doctor comes out, and with a very, very good speech.
Yes,
And
I remember
basically
now.
tells them about how he tried to understand them,
Yeah.
but he thinks they don't care, and if they want to play monsters, that's fine.
Yes. Yes, I remember.
Hmm.
Because that's how we meet the lad from the next series, isn't it? When he's now grown up.
Who ends up getting who ends up getting Clara killed.
Yes, I remember. But yes, this episode is really, really good. So my score for this episode is going to be 4 out of 5 because it's probably one of the best episodes of Peter Capaldi's run, and I actually do think it's It's one of the best ones. So it is 4 Orsons out of 5.
With the really nice hair, because
Yes, he has
like
got some fantastic hair in this.
also that's right. So very few guys will legitimately look better with a slightly messy grey hairstyle,
Yes.
particularly younger guys. But the guy who played Danny Pink pulled it right
Oh,
off.
he does, and
Like,
I really like this character. I
mm,
wish we got to know more about Orson, and to be fair, I kind of thought we needed to know more about Danny before.
yeah, they could have stretched it out a bit longer. I get why they didn't.
Yeah.
Um,
So,
but
what is
also
your scores for this episode?
for the honestly the only thing I can fault is exactly what you were saying earlier about where you never find out what that monster actually is
Yes.
when you get
Yes.
either of the two monsters. That's the only thing that loses it a point for me. Otherwise, this would legitimately be a 5 out of 5 for me.
Yes, because it is such a brilliant episode.
Yeah,
I highly recommend watching this episode.
it
Even if you don't watch anything else, I think this is actually
like
one of those ones that you could be a standalone. It's
yeah
it's not, it doesn't link into too much other than the
it
50th episode.
which it actually gives you the lore exposition within this episode
Yeah.
anyway.
So
Like
and I can't
it's
say that there's many episodes of Doctor Who that does that. You know, a lot of them rely on you knowing a lot more.
yeah well, a lot of series 1 to 10 do. Series 11 basically gave you the finger if you knew anything.
Yeah.
And then series 12 went back to relying on you knowing a ton. And
Yeah.
it's like, no, you actually need to go down that middle ground.
Yeah, you
Like,
kind of do.
don't assume everyone knows everything, but at the same time, don't flip the bird to the people that do.
Yes.
Which is what this episode does very well. Standalone episode.
Yes, it's a very good standalone episode. I don't think there are many others, but what other ones can you think of?
Um, right. To be fair, Blink,
Yep.
that that was standalone. Um, Ironically, an episode that shouldn't work as a standalone, but very much does, is Dalek.
Yes, and do you know what other
Because
episode I can think of? Turn Left.
what? Yeah, because again, it gives you all the exposition within the
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah.
What other ones? Look, the worst thing is you can actually get away with watching the 50th having never seen a single episode of Doctor Who in your life.
Pretty much, yeah,
Because again, it gives you all the explanations within the episode.
very much. But yes, so us getting on to the next series.
Mm.
How are you feeling about it? Other than us being a bit salty about the fact that Disney are playing loose and free with the rules.
So, as I say, I'm very apprehensive about the new companion.
Yes.
And I really hope they prove me wrong because I think I've mentioned to you before, like the actress used to be in Corrie, which is a guilty pleasure show.
Yes.
Like, I enjoy Coronation Street.
But what I didn't
And
realise
she was
is
very good in it.
I've just looked at the Wikipedia and we actually get 2 episodes on the 11th.
Yeah.
I might be able to forgive them ever so slightly for the fact that I am getting 2 episodes. But going through the titles that have been released so far, because I don't
I
know
thought they've released all of them now.
is that all of them? Do we only get that many episodes? 1, 2. Do we only
I
get
think it's like 8.
8 episodes? I'm not happy about that. That's not
No,
right.
don't get me wrong, if they put the same budget in that they would have put across 12.
Yes. Yeah, okay. Maybe I can be less touchy. So the episodes for this series are Space Babies, The Devil's Chard, Boom, 73 Yards, Dot and Bubble, Rogue, The Legend of Ruby Sunday, and Empire of Death. But it looks like the last 2 episodes obviously are going to be a 2-parter.
Yes.
And true to make this series is actually pretty much wrote by Russell T Davis, Stephen Moffat, and Kate Herron and Brian Redman.
Yeah, which I don't know how I feel about that because we've seen showrunners trying to write the bulk of the series before, and doesn't go well. I refer
Yes.
like again, and I always feel slightly awkward when I do this because I feel like I'm just lambasting the Chibnall era.
Yes.
But this is something that Chris Chibnall did very, very wrong in his first series.
Yes.
I think there was one episode he didn't write, and that was it.
What for the
And
first for Eckerson?
no, Chris Chibnall for
Oh, okay. Because I was gonna say for Eckerson,
Whitaker.
Russell T Davis pretty much wrote the first out of the first 13 episodes. He wrote 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them.
Yeah,
Steve
which
Moffat wrote 1, 2, 2 of them. Mark Gatiss wrote another one.
I
Robert
thought Stephen Moffat wrote more than that.
No. Stephen Moffat wrote, yeah, he definitely wrote 2.
He wrote The Empty Child
And the Doctor
and the Doctor
Dances.
Dances.
Mark Gatiss wrote The Unquiet Dead, which is an absolute fabulous episode.
That is the thing is that's a great horror story episode.
It's
it really is
one of the best episodes.
And actually, that's another good standalone. You could just watch that for a ghost story.
Yeah, you could, and it would be a good episode. So maybe we might be able to do that one around Halloween.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of like 3 episodes that actually fits doing around Halloween.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I am not sure how I feel about it reading the titles. But I think we need to wait for Saturday or Sunday. I'm probably not going to watch it till Sunday because
nor am I, because I am working during the day on Saturday.
Yeah.
And then in the evening I've got my friend's birthday.
Yeah, so we are not gonna, and we're gonna have to discuss when we are going to review this.
Yes.
Because by the time this episode goes out, 3 episodes of the new series would be out. Because this episode goes out on, let me find the date. This episode goes out on the 18th of March, I think. Yes, so this one will go out on the 18th of March. So we will have had Space Babies, Devil Cord, and Boom out by then. So that would be quite interesting.
See, I'm cautiously optimistic about most of it.
Yeah.
The finale really has me worried.
Yeah, but I think we need to wait. I think we need to wait and see. We need to. There's lots of questions that need to answer. We need to find out who is Ruby's mum. But I am calling it now. It's going to be the lady. It's going to be the neighbor. I'm calling it. I'm calling it. I'm 100% sure it's going to be her.
And she's going to be some kind of monster.
No, she is going to be the Rani, and if she's not, I'm going to cry.
This is where it turns out that the old lady from next door is actually Ruby.
Yeah, that I wouldn't be upset if it was Ruby or the Rani. I 100%. I want the Rani to reappear. Yeah. I am really excited, and Anita Dobson gives me the same vibes as the previous actresses who have played the Rani does.
Please, I want it to be the Rani purely because I want to see people online going, "What? Why are they ripping off Missy?" Because there will be people on the internet who will be doing that.
There are going to be.
And it's going to be hilarious.
It's going to be hilarious because they obviously just haven't got. But I'm not going to judge them. I'm not going to gatekeep them because I think that's rude. I will be. I'll be judgy. But I'm not going to gatekeep them. I'm going to say, look, you need to watch this episode. I'm going to educate. And I think. I'm
just going to have YouTube clips ready to drop on them.
Yeah, I think.
Watch this.
Yeah, I think very much this is probably our opportunity to educate people a lot on the older series, because I do think there's going to be some callbacks. I 100% think there are going to be some callbacks to more of the original series, like we did in season 1 and season 2 with like Eccleston and David Tennant. I think there's going to be a lot of callbacks to that, but I also think that there's going to be a lot of original stuff. I think Moffat's going to try and create original stuff like he did for this series. I think like the Unrecreated Dead he created. Did he create the Slitheen?
No, the Slitheen were in World War III.
But that's what I mean. Like
Russell T Davis, I think.
Yeah, so I think like he's gonna have like this world building in this series. He's gonna try and reboot and bring in a lot more original stuff, as well as kind of linking back to like the OG 60s, 70s and 80s.
Also, as an aside, there's a thought I've just had, or rather just remembered, going back to this episode we're reviewing this week. So there's the discussion of the monster, and how it's got the perfect hiding
Yes.
mechanism. The Doctor's already met an alien with perfect hiding mechanism. It's called the silence. It makes you
Yes.
forget every
Yes.
time you're not looking
I
at
love
it.
the silence. The silence are possibly. I actually met the person who did the silence. I've never told you this. I actually met him I met him a few months back when I went to Nerdfest, and
Okay.
the gentleman that plays it, he is brilliant. I wish I had a moment to talk to him and get a photo taken, because my child really didn't want to stay because she saw the silence and she freaked out. But I
Oh,
really wanted to meet him because he was just so friendly. Like the quick discussion he had, and then obviously my daughter was brutal. She was like, "I'm going." I was like, but I
yeah.
really wanted to talk to him. But oh my god, like the way he looked when he was at Nerdfest, he's amazing.
Mm.
He very much reminds me of the actor who plays Daru.
Saru.
Saru. He reminds me of that, very much of that style.
Mm. Got the same kind of very tall, very slim build.
Yes, he was just really nice, and I'm hoping that he'll be there again, and I'll be able to go there, and I'll have a child who's wants to give me a moment
Yeah.
to nerd out. But yes, I am excited for the new series. I am intrigued about what's going to happen. Um, but yeah, so the next what 8 episodes of Doctor Who reviews are going to be the new series, which is going to be
Yeah.
fun. And then we'll get back to the timey-wimey wheel afterwards.
Mm.
See what the timey-wimey wheel brings up then.
Yeah. Well, we still need to have Eccleston.
Yes, we still haven't had any Eccleston.
I mean, mathematically, he's the least likely to turn up, but
Yes. But yeah, we still haven't had anything around him. But what I'm gonna do, because I'm kind of calling this sort of season 1 of Doctor Who Fleetcast, I'm going to put all the scores up so that we can have a look at what we've done, what we haven't done, and what the scores are so far, so that we can kind of gauge where we are, because I think this is probably going to be one of the top ones.
I think this is the top one so far.
I think so. I can't remember the rest of them, so I am going to have to go back through and have a quick look at the scores and stuff. But I don't. Yeah,
Actually, the Giggle might have beaten it, or might have matched it, I should say.
yeah, I think there are. But it'll be interesting then. What I'm going to do at the end of each episode now is we're going to have the scores where they are, and we can move the scores around and see how they go in reflection. So yes. But let us know what you think of this episode, if you've had a chance to watch it, and whether you are looking forward to the new series, whether you're not looking forward to the new series, if you've got any thoughts, what your feels are on the fact that Disney dollars are kind of wrecking the slightly British experience of watching Doctor Who. I am not ashamed of that, because it's a thing, we sit down, we watch it. It's one of those British things. And obviously we are both British.
Are we?
Well, I don't know. Sometimes both of our accents are a bit dodgy, like, especially you down south.
Don't know what you mean.
Yeah. But yes. So until next time, stay safe, keep watching, keep writing, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.